Ghislaine Maxwell is asking, once again, to be saved. Not exonerated, not vindicated, saved by silence, leverage, and the oldest currency in American politics, proximity to powerful men. Her latest move is as brazen as it is familiar. After refusing to answer a single question in a congressional deposition invoking the Fifth Amendment across the board, Maxwell's lawyers made the quid pro quo explicit. She will talk, they say, if Donald Trump grants her clemency. It is blackmail, dressed up as cooperation, and it's working far better than it should.
Ms. Maxwell, were you a close friend and confidant of Jeffrey Epstein?
I would like to answer your question, but on the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer this question and any related questions. My habeas petition is pending in the Southern District of New York. I therefore invoke my right to silence under the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
Maxwell is a convicted sex trafficker serving a 20-year sentence for grooming and delivering teenage girls to Jeffrey Epstein. She is not an accessory in the abstract, nor a peripheral enabler. She was Epstein's chief lieutenant, his recruiter, his organizer, his fixer, and according to victims, his co-conspirator in abuse that spanned decades. Yet the media, Congress, and much of the political class continue to treat her less like a principal offender and more like a tantalizing vault of secrets, someone whose crimes are almost secondary to what she knows. That framing is not accidental. It is deeply gendered. Maxwell's refusal to testify before the House Oversight Committee marked a sharp departure from her recent behavior. Just months earlier, she spoke at length with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, Donald Trump's former personal defense attorney, answering questions without invoking her right to silence. In parallel court filings, she claimed that dozens of Epstein's associates had been shielded by the Justice Department through secret settlements. But in Congress, she said nothing.
Ms. Maxwell, did you and Jeffrey Epstein attempt to surround yourselves with influential individuals to curry favor and shield yourselves from potential scrutiny?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Her attorney quickly explained why. Maxwell is angling for a presidential pardon. If lawmakers and the public want the unfiltered truth, he argued, Trump must grant clemency first. The implication is grotesque. A woman convicted of trafficking children now positions herself as the sole arbiter of truth in the Epstein scandal, while withholding that truth unless she is freed. Even more grotesque is the casual assertion slipped into the same argument that she alone can clear both Donald Trump and Bill Clinton of wrongdoing. Innocence is offered as a product, available on request, payable in executive mercy. This is not cooperation. It is hostage-taking.
Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Maxwell's leverage is not hypothetical. Shortly after her interview with Todd Blanche, she was transferred from a high-security women's federal prison in Florida to a minimum-security prison camp in Texas, a facility typically reserved for non-violent offenders. Because of her sex offender status, the transfer required a waiver from the Department of Justice. Someone made that call. The optics are terrible. A notorious sex trafficker receives a dramatically more comfortable incarceration arrangement while simultaneously signaling her willingness to assist a president entangled, politically, if not criminally, in the Epstein fallout. That this is even defensible inside the system speaks to how pliable accountability becomes when power is involved. American media coverage of Maxwell remains oddly distorted. She is routinely described as Epstein's girlfriend or associate or a socialite, even as male accomplices in lesser crimes are labeled predators without hesitation.
During your personal relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, were you aware that Mr. Epstein was sexually abusing minors and adult women?
I would like to answer your question, but on the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer this question and any related questions. My habeas petition is pending in the Southern District of New York. I therefore invoke my right to silence under the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
The narrative gravity continues to orbit Epstein as though Maxwell were merely caught in his pull rather than actively shaping it. This is not feminism gone wrong, it is misogyny disguised as leniency. Female sex offenders occupy an uncomfortable space in public imagination. Women are culturally coded as passive, emotional, derivative, followers rather than leaders in moral catastrophe. When women commit sexual crimes, especially against children, media institutions struggle to process them as autonomous moral agents. The result is a strange half-recognition. Maxwell is condemned, but never fully centered as the architect of harm that she was. Her own biography makes this discomfort worse, not better. Maxwell was born into obscene privilege, raised in the shadow of a domineering media baron, and socialized to orbit powerful men. She did not lack opportunity, education, or escape routes. She lacked restraint. Her devotion to Epstein, documented, humiliating, and obsessive, was not romantic tragedy. It was the mechanism by which abuse was industrialized. Victims describe her inspecting their bodies, instructing them in Epstein's preferences, and delivering them to him with managerial efficiency. Some recall being trafficked to Epstein's friends. These are not the actions of a passive bystander. These are the actions of a woman who chose utility to power over morality. The idea that Maxwell is indispensable, that only she can unlock the truth, has infected coverage of the Epstein case for years. It's a false and dangerous one, though. First, Maxwell has already been tried and convicted based on overwhelming evidence and victim testimony. Second, the notion that justice may be bargained for through pardons undermines the entire purpose of accountability. And third, positioning Maxwell as a gatekeeper implicitly devalues the voices of the women and girls she abused, suggesting that truth only becomes real when validated by the abuser. Yet this myth persists because it is convenient. It keeps the focus on spectacle rather than systems. It allows powerful men to claim exoneration by proximity rather than scrutiny. And it creates the conditions under which a presidential pardon becomes not just imaginable, but politically pragmatic. Trump's presidential pardons are not awarded for moral clarity. They are transactional. Maxwell understands this. She also understands that silence, strategically deployed, can be more valuable than testimony. Trump has already shown a willingness to weaponize clemency for loyalty, narrative control, and grievance management. Maxwell offers all three. She can claim to absolve him. She can muddy the waters around Epstein's network. And she can reinforce the story that the real villains are faceless institutions, not individuals who wield power without consequence. If she is pardoned, and it's likely that she will be, it will not be because the media suddenly believe she is innocent. It will be because the media never fully accepted that she was guilty in the first place. Ghislaine Maxwell does not confound American media because her crimes are complex. They're straightforward. She exploited children to please a man and secure her own status. What confounds the media is that she did so without fitting the familiar archetypes of female victimhood or male predation. That failure of imagination matters. It turns accountability into theater and justice into a bargaining chip. It opens the door to a future in which a woman who helped run one of the most prolific child sex trafficking operations in U.S. history walks free, not because the evidence was weak, but because power decided it was inconvenient. Ghislaine Maxwell's silence is not mysterious, it is calculated. The real question is whether American institutions, media included, will continue to indulge the fantasy that she is something other than what she is, a convicted sex trafficker seeking escape, and betting that this country still cannot look a woman like her fully in the eye and say no.
Have you ever facilitated the sexual abuse of any minor or adult woman by Mr. Epstein?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
I'm Anthony Davis. You can find me on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel and podcast, on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sunday on The Weekend Show with MeidasTouch.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.